This is the review of the 2025 Nissan Armada. This new Armada has been totally redesigned. It has new styling, you've got seating for 7 or 8 depending on the configuration. We've got a new powertrain and a whole bunch of features inside. Let's go check it out. But first, here's what we bought for the test program. The 2025 Nissan Armada SL all-wheel drive, base price of $65,970. We got $7,200 worth of options. The destination charge is $2,010, and our as-tested price is $75,155. The final assembly point for the Armada is in Japan. The Nissan Armada is going up against heavy hitters like the Chevrolet Tahoe and Suburban, the Jeep Wagoneer, and the Ford Expedition, all vehicles that can put in a lot of work. And if you go to consumerreports.org, you can use our comparison tool to see how the Armada stacks up against all of its competitors. All of our reviews and ratings and information will be right there for you to check out. Now, hold on a second. I gotta talk about the price one more time. $75,000 for Nissan Armada. That struck me as a lot, and you can actually deck one out to almost $80,000. That's a lot of money. This thing better be pretty good. This is a big 3-row SUV that can seat 7 or 8 people depending on how you configure it. It's a body-on frame, so it can put in some work. And it's big, as you can see. The Armada is offered in several trim levels. It starts with the SV, that's entry level. We purchased the SL. Beyond that, we have Platinum, the Pro 4X, that's got all the off-roady bits, and then there is the premium one, the Platinum Reserve. That sounds like something you might order and overpay for at a high-end distillery. One thing I really like about Armada is it has LED lights, both front and rear. We also have power folding, tilt, and heated side mirrors on both sides. And we have mud flaps. I like to see that. However, that was one of our options, and those cost $400. So when you get a new vehicle, of course, you get new styling. And the Armada is a big vehicle. We know that. But check out this front end and this grille. It is very prominent. It's huge, quite frankly. The grille is massive, lets a lot of air through. You got the big light-up Nissan emblem here in the front. I actually think it looks a lot better than the last generation Armada. So, if styling is a concern for you, I do think this one kind of delivers in that department. So I think this Armada badge up here might be the highest or tallest badge ever fit to a vehicle. I'm like 6'1". That's got to be 5'10" off the ground. It's eye level, perfect eye level in case I ever forget what I'm driving. So one concern with big SUVs is how easy are they to get in and out of? And we have really nice door handles here. Swing the big door out of the way. Offers a really nice opening. The door is a little heavy. It's not too bad. But the thing here is how big of a step we have. There are running boards, which does help a lot of the testers that were shorter. They really commented that they liked the running board. I'm a little bit taller. I like to step over it, but now it is a wide step because of that. But we're going to jump on in here. I'm going to step over the illuminated Armada door sill. Those cost $450. But getting out, I actually like to use the running board as I kind of pivot, step with one foot and down. I just find that to be the comfortable way to do it. So another really nice feature here that helps with access is the fact that we have an entry position. When I get in the vehicle and the vehicle starts up, it's going to move itself to the position that I have set. Another really nice thing is that it's all power and there's plenty of adjustability here. The seat is power as well. We actually have 10-way adjustability here on the driver's seat with 2 lumbar positions. The passenger seat is 6-way power, so a little bit different between the 2 seats, but overall, the seat is super comfortable. It's almost like sitting in a lounge chair. It's very plush, has really good support. I fit in it great. The console armrest has decent padding. It's actually fairly comfortable, but there's a seam here, and then this piece really has no padding, and that is just about where my elbow hits. They're actually in decent positions, except the one on the driver's door is actually lower than the console, so if I use them, I'm kind of actually a little bit crooked here in the vehicle. So the steering wheel does obstruct the top corners of the instrument cluster, but to be honest, it's not a big deal. There's really no vital information up there to speak of, so not really a problem. It's one screen, but it's really 2. There is a divider here, and we have our instrument panel, and then we have our center screen. It has all the infotainment, phone connectivity, navigation, things like that. So one thing I do really like is we have a center stack here that has a lot of physical buttons. Our climate control is here in the center, and it's really nice to have rocker switches for things like fan speed, temperature, both left and right side. Heated seats have their own controls. All that's really great. However, as we need to reach up and press this little button right here, that actually brings up our climate menu. Now this menu has a lot of functionality. We can control the front and the rear, all aspects of the climate control. However, this is the second review in a row where I cannot actually reach the center screen from my driving position. I need to lean way forward in order to make that happen. And as a driver, I find that annoying. However, on the right side of the steering wheel, we actually have some controls that allow us to control both of these screens. And we activate those. There's little buttons here that basically have windows on them. So I have it set up for the right-hand side window. That's our center screen. And if I use this scroll wheel, I now have control over what I want to select. Now I have control of the driver's instrument panel. I can bring up all the ADAS functions. You can have your music displayed. maps, and more. I've been driving this vehicle straight for the last week or so, and I finally just sort of figured out how they work without really having to look down. But every once in a while, I forget which screen I'm on. I go to click something over here, it changes something in the instrument panel, and that is annoying. So a lot of our testers did comment on the push button shifter, and the real problem here is the piano black. They reflect a lot of light back to the driver, and sometimes you really can't see which one's which. There are little nubs on them, so you can kind of feel the difference. It's just not our favorite in terms of usability. When you're going from reverse to drive and tight maneuvers, just a lot of kind of back and forth, taking your hand off the wheel and having to hit the exact spot. It works, we just don't love it. So our Armada is all-wheel drive. We have mode control here, and as we go through it, we have standard, we have eco, we have a sport mode. There is a trailer towing mode. We have 3 different off-road modes. That's actually very easy to use. I kind of like its position. The thing I don't like here are the buttons that are next to it. This vehicle is all-wheel drive, and it is full-time auto, always on all-wheel drive, essentially. I can choose 4 high and 4 low, which I do like as a driver. But my complaint, again, is the fact that it's all this black piano plastic. It really reflects a lot of light back to the driver, particularly also the silver surround, these levers here for our temperature and fan speed. All of that just really reflects sunlight back. It's very distracting and I think can be dangerous. So in the infotainment section here, they did give us a real volume control. We can do that on the steering wheel as well. So we have different ways we can do it, but I like that I can just reach over and grab that volume knob. I also like that there is a camera button here. This being such a big vehicle, it is nice sometimes to pull up the camera view really quickly in tight parking lot maneuvers and things like that. The front of this vehicle, the hood is very prominent. It's a little difficult to see over, especially if you were a shorter driver. So I think it's great to have that button here. You can call up an overhead view, a front view, and see exactly where maybe a bush or a fence is, something like that, so you don't go running into things. So as we work our way down the console here, we have a nice cover basically that slides. The action on it is really great. When we open this up, we get a couple of cup holders here. That's all pretty standard. We do get a wireless charging pad that actually takes up a lot of room here. There are a couple of USB ports here though, so you can go wired if you don't want to go wireless. And that brings me to another point. We've had a lot of trouble with both Apple phones and Android phones, both plugged in and wireless, CarPlay, Android Auto, streaming Bluetooth, making phone calls. The connections just aren't great. We did take our vehicle into the Nissan dealer to talk about the connectivity in terms of phones, and they tried it. They did agree with us that there were some connectivity problems. They had reached out to Nissan, and there's no fix yet, but I guess there is going to be a software update in the future that should help out with that. We have some really useful storage underneath the center console as well. We keep our logbook and things like that in there. We have a generous glove box. So I like the width of the center console, nice and wide. Overall, I think it looks pretty handsome and it's pretty comfortable. We can open it up. The lid pivots up and out of our way. They give us a little tray here, and then there's a decent size storage cubby down here. You've got a light so you can see your things in the dark. So do we care about the cargo net down there? It's part of the convenience package and it costs $370. You get a cargo net and a trash can, $370. So when we first got our Armada, I took a look at it and I said, wow, the interior is really nice for a Nissan, but I'm actually going to retract that statement. It's just really nice. I think everything looks really handsome. So I think that kind of wraps up our front row here. I think we've spent enough time on it. We have 2 more rows to investigate. Let's go check them out. So the second row door opens pretty wide. Again, we're going to utilize the step here for getting in and out in most cases because the second row seat is actually a couple of inches higher than the front row seat. We do have a really nice sturdy grab bar here, and there is an additional one up here in the roof. Trouble is you can't see that one from outside the car, so you find yourself doing one of these and you really can't find it. So it is a big hop up inside. But once I get it door closed and sort of settle in, it's pretty nice. I do like the fact that we have an adjustable armrest here because we do have captain's chairs back here, and that was an option. Standard is a 3-row bench, so you'd have 8 passengers. I do notice that I am sitting up very high, much higher than the front row. It's almost like I'm looking down on them. But once I'm back here, I have plenty of headroom. That's not a problem at all. Plenty of room for my feet and legs. I'm sitting behind myself. And the seat does have some adjustability too. I really like it. I think this second row would be a really nice place to be in a road trip. And just because you're in the second row doesn't mean you're without creature comforts. We do have climate back here that we can control the fan speed, the temperature, and the position. That's really nice. A couple of USB ports, a 12-volt charging socket as well. And then because we have the captain's chairs, we do have a little bit of a center console here. 2 cup holders, and again, a little place to put a phone. It looks like it's wireless charging. It is not, but there's an additional 2 USBs. So it's nice to have if you have phones and tablets and other kind of stuff back here. You can keep everybody occupied and charged up and happy. So one nice feature with the captain's chairs is that usually getting in the third row is a little bit easier. At least it gives you another option where you can do that from inside the vehicle here. Let's go check out that third row now. I'm going to jump out, and for the sake of the video, I'm going to show you how to fold the seat. This is another option to get back here. Got a lever. The seat pivots and slides out of the way. It is a little heavy. It is a high reach. I think children would have a little bit of trouble doing that. And now you just climb on up in here. So immediately I get back here, and the first thing I notice is my head is against the roof, and the headrest is right in the middle of my back. So the headrests all go up, and at least in that case, it's not pushing you in the back and leaning you forward. My head is still on the ceiling. It's not the best. It's definitely be better for kids. Adults could do it in a pinch, but you wouldn't want to be back here for too long. In total, we have 4 cup holders back here. We have USBs on either side. And there is a control here that in the 3rd row, you can actually move this seat away from you so you can get yourself out. Kind of another thing about being an adult back here is this air vent. I had turned the AC on when I was in the 2nd row because we're out here and it was getting a little warm. This vent is like 2 inches from my head and I'm sort of getting pelted in the head with cool air. I mean, it's welcome on a hot day, I guess, but over a long period of time, it's just not for me. So one of the features we got on our SL trim Armada is a power lift gate. So just under the A here is a button. And as you can see, our 3rd row is in the up position. We actually still have a decent amount of space back here. Another nice thing about the Armada is it actually has a spare tire. It's up underneath the vehicle here. So with the seats in the up position, we actually have a little bit of a cubby here. It's not huge, but again, a little bit of useful storage space. Some other features we have back here, we have a 120 volt outlet, so you could run small accessories, you could charge a laptop, things like that, no problem. We have power controls for the 3rd row seat. They're on this side. So if you want to fold these down, you're not taking people with you, but you are taking things. And now with that 3rd row folded, we have a ton of space back here. And if you need maximum cargo carrying ability, we can fold the 2nd row down. It's not quite flat. We do have a little bit of an incline and there are gaps in between all the seats. The Armada actually has a tow capacity of 8,500 pounds and there are some trailering features on the vehicle as well, like a trailer backup assist and a trailer light check, which is convenient. If you've ever hooked up a trailer, you can know that part can be a pain. So the 2025 Nissan Armada, big vehicle, big family hauler. One thing that I was actually really surprised by is how smooth the engine is. It makes a ton of power. It's a twin turbo V6, makes 425 horsepower, and I believe they're all there. It might even make more than that. Plenty of power to get this big rig up to speed. Merging traffic isn't a problem at all. I think the real sort of crown jewel here is that it is a body on frame SUV, but it rides quite comfortably. Sometimes you get weird harmonics and things like that with a body on frame, a lot of like vibrations and things like that. And this doesn't really have that. Is it the softest riding vehicle out there? No, absolutely not. But it's more than adequate. They're not trying to make it sporty. I mean, let's face it, there's no way you're going to make something this big and heavy sporty and do a good job of it anyway. I'm looking for a comfortable vehicle to put the family in and go run errands and do a road trip and stuff like that. And I think in that case, this really delivers. No problems with power and things like that. We're out here on the handling course and we're just kind of going through here, not setting any records or anything. It handles pretty good. The steering is nicely weighted, if not even a little bit heavy. A few of our testers commented on. And I would agree with that. I've noticed that, especially when driving on the highway, like highway with crowned roads, you'd have to steer up in that crown just a little bit, and that does get a little tiresome after a while because of the weight of the steering. The hood is very prominent, sticks way out, and is kind of high. This vehicle does not have the best front over visibility. It is aided by the fact that there are cameras that you can select and turn on. Speed dependent though. We're doing about 30 miles an hour, and I cannot turn on those cameras. As far as other visibility goes, our A-pillars, they're pretty wide at the bottom. We have all the structure. We actually have the tweeters here for our optional sound system. The side mirrors are also very prominent. They offer a really good rearward view, but they do block a little bit of what you can see just from their physical size. Side windows are actually of a really good size. The belt line is pretty low, or I should say you sit pretty high compared to that belt line. The B pillar, I'm pretty far back here and it's not really in my way. If I go do a head check to that direction, yeah, it blocks a little bit of view. I can actually even see out the 2nd row glass to see what would essentially be in my blind spot. So I do like that. Visibility out the back is okay. We have the 3rd row up right now and those headrests are interfering. Ideally, if you don't have people back there, fold that 3rd row down and you will have maximum visibility. Now with big vehicles like this, the rear 3/4, that does suffer a little bit as I do a head check. The 2nd row seat blocks some of it. The 3rd row seat blocks some of it. So we've already established that the Armada rides really well for a vehicle of its size. I think it's very comfortable. Another positive point here is the noise or lack of noise. We're out here in the handling course. I can hear the tires just a little bit, but that's kind of an odd scenario. Out in the world, you're really not going to hear a whole lot of tire noise. And wind noise is pretty subdued, at least at, I'll say, lower than highway speeds. The faster you go, wind noise does start to creep in just a little bit, but that's to be expected, and let's be honest, that happens in every vehicle. Another thing that's really sort of nice and makes me feel good about the vehicle is the brake pedal. It has great feel, really nice pressure there. It's not falling away from my foot or anything like that, and I can just bring this big beast of a vehicle to a very reasonable and comfortable stop without any kind of issue or drama. So one of the options we did select on our Armada is Nissan's Pro Pilot Assist 2.1, and that is their hands-off driving system, essentially. It has basically all the kind of stuff that you expect and that, frankly, we want in a vehicle. We've got blind spot, we've got lane centering, we've got lane keep assist here. We have ACC, which is adaptive cruise control. A few other things we like to talk about are rear seat safety. So the Armada does not have an occupant detection system back there. So if you leave a child in the back seat, it's not going to actually know that there's a person there, but what the car does have is a system that uses door logic that does let you know that because you open the door that there is someone back there. So it's an end of trip reminder, essentially. The downside to that system is it can be turned on and off, and ours was actually delivered with it off. So it's something that a buyer of an Armada would actually have to elect to turn on themselves in order for that system to work. It's good that it has the system. We wish it was on all the time, and we really wish that it had an occupant detection system back there. So that's going to do it for the 2025 Nissan Armada. It's a really big vehicle with a lot of features, and some things it does really great. It rides good, it's very comfortable for the front and middle row passengers. The places where it's a little bit of a mess are the screens and the controls and the phone connectivity, not to mention that third row. It's just not going to be great for adults. Another thing to consider with the Armada is this right here. You're going to be using this quite a bit if you buy an Armada. The EPA says you get 19 miles per gallon, which honestly isn't so bad considering, well, I mean, look at it. It's huge. But it is the capless system for quick fill-ups. For more on the Nissan Armada and all the other three-row SUVs, check out consumerreports.org.